Hey, it's Adele from Let's Get Inky, and we're working in my bigger Use It Up journal today to work with some painted papers that otherwise probably would have gone in the bin, but because I am a little bit of a crafty hoarder, they stayed on my desk. And I thought they'd be the perfect adage to this page. So this is a page that, like I said, I call it my Use It Up journal, but it started off as just a normal art journal, and then as the days went on and the months went on, I turned it into a Use It Up journal, which is something I've done for a few years. If you're new to my channel, basically it's a spare journal that you just slap any paint that you're using in there. If you're doing a stencil on another project, slap that in there too. You've already dirtied the stencil once, why not pop it in another journal as well, and gets you a bit of a head start on your next journal page. So this already had some hot pink paint on the left hand side, and that hot pink paint is $2 from my local $2 shop. Very cheap, very thin, but oh so bright and delicious. On the right hand side, I'd already put some blue paint. I think that's paint. Actually, I think that's acrylic ink on the right hand side. And then I had also done some stenciling. I may have done the background up to a year ago or more. And I find that my Use It Up journal is really where I turn to when I want to get straight into creating. Sometimes I'm in the mood to do a bit of procrastinating arting, where I fluff around for a little bit and I look through my craft room and find, experiment with a few different pencils and textures to see what I want to use. And then there's other times where I just want to get in, get a page done, and get that feeling of having like the first completed page. And that's often when I turn to my Use It Up journal, because a lot of the background already has a foundation on it, and I can either cover it all up if I don't want to, which I've done before, or I can embrace it and work with it. It's totally up to what mood I'm in. So these papers that we're using are all jelly plate papers that I created over on Patreon, I think about a year ago or more now. And I just did a bit of experimenting, and we worked with different stencils and talked about different color combos. And I really loved the papers, so much so that I kept the rubbish part of them, obviously. And it's a look that I don't usually go for. I don't really do the negative space very often, but I'm glad I did, because they really made this page pop, especially when I add the doodly borders. The black pen that I'm going to add soon really helped them pop. So today we're using a black and white image, and in all honesty, black and white images are my favorite to use for art journaling, because they just allow so much freedom in what colors you can use, and I just feel like you can have a bit more arty playtime. Whereas if you use a coloured photograph as a focal image, especially if it's one that's got a lot of busyness in it or a lot of different colours, it can sometimes be hard to decide what colour paints to use. And like I said, today I just wanted to get in and just get making and painting and doodling. And I didn't want to have to be bogged down with decision making. A lot of the time when I have like a big day of filming ahead, if I am planning on filming like 4 or 5 videos in one day, I will start with a spread in my Use It Up journal, because my goodness, can you hear the wind on the microphone? Sorry, tangent. It is blowing a gale outside my windows, and if you hear a ghostly wail in the background, it's just the wind, but yeah. When I just want to get in and create, Use It Up journals are a great way to kind of kickstart your creative juices flowing. That sounds gross, but it's a good way just to get in and get a page done. Kids, don't try that at home. I love this hot pink pencil, but it's quite a chunky one, and it doesn't fit in my pencil sharpener. So I was using the very technical technique of sharpening it with my scissor blade, which didn't quite work as predicted, but it did enough so that I could still use it a bit. I just felt like this girl needed something around her, and usually I turn to my Posca paint pens to do an outline, but it just felt like it was going to be too much. And I love the way this turned out. I've never done this before, where I did a thick pencil-y border and then little white polka dots with my uni broad Signo gel pen, and I absolutely love it. It looks like she's, I don't know, a little fairy with a little sprinkly magical dust all around her. That's the way I looked at it anyway. So then it was time to do my quote, and I'm using a Posca paint pen for this. It's a violety coloured one. I'm just making it work because there's not a lot of ink left or paint left in there, but we're going to try and make it work. It was getting a bit cluggy. I think it's on its last legs, this one, and needs replacing. But my problem is that I never remember which of my Posca paint pens need replacing when I'm at the art store. I guess at the moment, at the time of recording this, we're currently in lockdown where I live in New South Wales, and all of the retail stores are closed. And so it would be a good time to go through my pens and order them online, rather than getting to the store and then being like, which ones do I need? Buy them all. Because that's what I often do, which is why I have about 5 pale pink Posca pens, because every time I go, I feel like I apparently need one. I wanted to brighten this lass up a little bit, and so I'm going in with my hot pink Posca paint pen, which is one of my favourites, and I'm overlapping it over the top of the photo, just to kind of push her into the background a little bit in the nicest way possible. Get in the background. And I'm just doing a range of bigger ones and little ones, and I'm going over the top of that hot pink paint. And you might think, del way, but you can actually see it in person, and it just makes that corner not look so plain. It just gives it a little tiny something. I think this step really made the page come together. I used it's kind of like a navy blue colour to do some teeny tiny dots and circles, and I think that helped bring in the stencil pattern in the background. So if you're confused as to what marks you should make, just go with whatever inspires you at that moment, or if there's a pattern that's already on the page, you could try and replicate that in a smaller form. But I really like these little spotty dotties. So I'm just going around and I'm trying to add to my little clusters that I've got going, rather than just putting them absolutely everywhere. I'm just trying to keep it to a few different locations around the page, and I'm loving the way this one's turning out. It's just a nice, pretty, happy page, and I really enjoy when I feel like when I'm in the mood to art journal, it's just to experiment and create pages that make me smile. Whereas when I'm scrapbooking, I feel like I have a mission to accomplish the page. Whereas with art journaling, I don't know where the page is going. It just kind of all falls together, and whatever's within arm's reach of my desk often gets slapped on the page. But yeah, it's a completely different creative process. I'd be really interested to know if you do say something a bit more structured like card making or scrapbooking, and you also do something a bit more free-flowing like art journaling. How do you feel about the difference between the two of them? Like, do you like to do one when you're in a particular mood and then the other one when you're in a different mood? Or do you perhaps only journal like at nighttime when the house is nice and quiet? Or let me know if you have a different process for each of the paper crafting, arting things you do. So thanks for joining in today, peeps. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It helps my channel be discovered by new inklets who want to get inky and messy and painty with us. And I hope you have a fantastic week ahead, and I will see you in the next video very soon. Bye.